YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Now, I know that this video is very late, but I didn't realize that we're not getting a part 2 to the Unmasked episode with Danger Force Season 2. So I'm guessing last week was basically the end of Danger Force Season 2. I don't know when we're getting Danger Force Season 3. But today, here's my ranking of all 25 Danger Force episodes. Clear, I don't think most of these episodes are pretty enjoyable, but this one, the fact that you have the Danger Force doing a wedding for one of the news people in the man's nest just seems like a very weird thing. It kind of creates a little bit of a conflict with who is Trent's wife, the one he's been talking online, but overall the episode is pretty bad. For me, I feel like that they create a episode. Honestly, I don't even remember this episode, but even when it gets to the martial arts street fight action, it's not really good because it's like they beat these guys up. Most of these guys beat them up really quick, and then other times it's like just not that good. So for me, it comes in at number 24. Now, this is another episode where I feel like they just did not do so well, where they basically take this idea of Dr. Minyak, basically taking over the man's nest, and they have to do all these annoying things to get him out, and the fact that they have to do that makes this episode annoying, so that's all I can really say. Another weird episode where they introduce these alien characters. Now obviously it goes back to that love interest with Bose, Glurp, or whatever her name is. So it was kind of fun to see Glurp again, but at the same time it's like, the fact that you're making these humans like a zoo full of animals just seems kind of very weird idea. So I just didn't really like this episode that much, so it comes in pretty low at the list. Again, it pretty much just has a weak idea. It has couple fun moments. It does kind of ring hollow. It does kind of ring a little bit of a bell to the Batman stuff with, Commissioner Gordon, and the commissioner in this episode is kind of like the best friend of Captain Man. It's all pretty cool with that. But even just the idea of it just does not work with this guy cutting scissors. Like, they create all these rules like spoiling movies in this world. Like, spoiling movies is a crime. Cutting hair not the way they want it is a crime. Like, it's just very weird, but this is what the Dangerverse is. Now this is just another dumb idea for an episode, as you basically bring back the Bilsky character of Mitch Bilsky, which has been in high school for multiple years, has to retake high school for multiple years, and he's a grown man, and it does not work, as they basically teach him stuff so he can graduate, and it's not the best episode. And the fact that they keep bringing Misshapen and all these other characters from Henry Danger just kind of is weird, but at the same time, I still did kind of like it, seeing them again, but overall, pretty bad episode. Honestly, this is just another bad episode where they basically take this premise of a girl crying and basically wanting to get help from Danger Force, and then it starts to turn into something bad, and it's like, bro. Once again, you can tell that I don't really like this season as much, as most of these episodes just started to get really bad and just started to get really stupid. So you can tell that I wasn't really as impressed as I was with the first season, or really all the other Henry Danger seasons and episodes. Now this is kind of a fun idea where you basically have like a crime going on at this club. But at the same time, it's not the most interesting plot line to really do as they're trying to protect this bottle. But overall, it's kind of enjoyable, but not really. This kind of presents a cool plot line where they basically use the clones that Schwoz created, but then it just turns bad and then they meet the real Danger Force. So it's kind of fun in that way, but overall, okay, I guess. Now this is where I feel like the episodes just started to get a little bit better. The thing is I actually don't think I watched this episode, and that kind of, but it doesn't matter because it kind of presents that whatever I was watching, it did not put the show on. Like, why won't you just put the episodes on? If you're doing it, just put the episodes on. All of them that have premiered, like, just do that. Don't have a couple episodes, just put all of them on. And I mean, it was kind of fun to see the toddler and Bertram. Well, not Bertram, I'm thinking of the guy from Jessie. It's the guy that was helping Frankini or something, wearing Captain Man suits. It was kind of cool to see them wear Captain Man suits. The fact that you have a Captain Man boogie, like man boogie, like that's very like cartoonish. So it was fine, simple plot, but nothing else. Now, the whole plot of this episode is basically the Danger Force are losing money, so they need to make the man's nest into some hotel, and they also bring in Krampus into it, and it's like, it's kind of weird, it's kind of a dumb idea, but I guess I kind of enjoyed it, so it's a little bit higher on the list. I think that this episode, I kind of forgot the simple plotline, but basically, because, I forgot the name of the school, Swag is shut down, they have to go to normal school, and I think the idea of that is actually pretty cool, as they don't really have to go to school to be superheroes, because they kind of already know how to use their powers. They can go to work to learn more about their powers, but they can still go to school, and they start to actually kind of like normal school, and it's kind of cool. So I actually like this episode. Now, I think the idea of this episode where Chapa's sister's imaginary friend dies, kind of funny, it's kind of cool, as you kind of, dive into imaginary friends' deaths and stuff. It's kind of cool, but kind of cheap, as you're basically crying over an imaginary person that died. So, kind of not the best. So this is actually a pretty enjoyable episode for me, just because we always questioned why exactly did Chapa, because the whole reason why we were introduced to Chapa in this episode was because she lost her phone. And the fact that she actually lied that she's been missing it for like a couple months, and the fact that she actually lost it like for years, it's kind of crazy. Like, if you misplaced your phone, you could have found it by now. But at the same time, it is kind of cool as you kind of dive into the backstory of that Bose was the one that stole his phone. That was the one that stole her phone. So I found that to be kind of heartwarming with Bose and Chapa. So kind of made for a heartwarming episode, to be honest. Oh no, wait, I just realized while making this video that I was talking about the wrong episode. I don't know. I think Class Action Heroes was some sort of... I forgot that episode, I'm sorry. But with this episode, I actually did like the action, and I think it kind of worked, but overall, enjoyable, I guess. Now, to be clear, I actually did kind of like this episode. It was fun. It was pretty enjoyable. It's not the greatest episode of Danger Force ever, but it's fun with the musical stuff and with the way they're crime fight and stuff, so I thought it was pretty cool. For me, this was actually a pretty fun episode, as it was kind of coming out around the time when the Oscars was coming out, so this is basically like the Supies as the Oscars for superheroes, of winning awards for best award and stuff, best sidekicks. It's all kind of cool, but at the same time it doesn't make sense. And so the plot line of, bringing Henry back, him going to Supies and stuff like that is kind of cool. The overall plot line itself, with him babysitting Ray because he wants to go, but he wasn't nominated, feels kind of, sorry, I thought I heard something. Feels kind of cheap, but overall, enjoyable. Now, this was actually a pretty fun episode, as throughout the entire movie, the episode, you're going through this whole episode and you're discussing all these movie ideas, and then basically just referencing all these movies that have already been made, and it's awesome. Like they mentioned John Wick, they mentioned The Matrix, they mentioned all these classic films that have already been made, and the fact that those movies exist in this universe is kind of cool. And I just thought it was fun. I just think the overall plot line of them not telling the guy what movie they want to make seems kind of weird, but overall, it was actually a pretty fun episode of them commenting on movies and genres and all that. Now, this was an episode that I think is one of these episodes that I feel like this is honestly where I feel like the list just gets awesome. Where I feel like all 7 of these episodes, all these episodes from 7 to 1, I think are amazing. And A Cyborg Among Us is the start of that, and I think of these good episodes, I think it's the weakest, but of them, I think it's really good, as it basically sets up what it worked in a Henry Among Us, with, they spread this virus, but then, something happens at the end. There's a lot of intrigue that happens through with this virus, and I think it's just really awesome to see Drex involved in it. A lot of stuff happens, but I thought it was actually a pretty good episode. Now, this is an episode where I feel like it does the basic superhero origin story stuff. Well, not origin story, but it does the superhero stuff where someone is dealing with a conflict, they lose their powers, and if they don't have powers, they can't be supers. So once they lose their powers, they have to turn in their gumballs. And it's kind of crazy, this is it? Are they really gonna give up that easy? What now? You're literally firing them because you can't do this? What are you doing? So, kind of, obviously, we know that we're getting 26 more episodes of this show, so it's not like we're not gonna see them again, but we know we're gonna find some way to get these characters back and their powers back. And honestly, this episode is where I feel like it gets good, where you basically just see what it's like, that superheroes don't need to be superheroes because they have powers. It's real people, and that's really what this episode is that they don't need powers. They make homemade suits like Spider-Man, and it's awesome. They have a fight, they have skills, so it's not just powers what makes them heroes, and then they get recruited back at the end. And it's all the superhero stuff that is true. You don't need basically like Hawkeye. He's just a guy with a bow and arrow and a cool suit in the comics. These characters literally went to make homemade suits and fought crime without powers. They didn't need powers. They're actual people that can fight and are willing to protect. So that's awesome. I thought this was a great conclusion to the Among Us episodes of the first 4 episodes of Henry of Danger Force Season 2, where you basically bring in Henry to help out stopping Drex and Rick Twitler, and I guess that was a really cool episode. You get some great action with Henry. You kind of set up a new arc as because Drex is somewhere lost somewhere, he wants to go find Drex, so that way, because he doesn't think Drex, a world with Drex out there is not good, so it's kind of reasonable. I think that's a really cool plot line. Likewise, it just closes it. It also has some great humor, great action. You actually get to see a little bit of some more moves that Bose has, because we only see him do telekinesis stuff, but the fact that we actually get to see him do more kicky stuff, I want to see more of that in the future, so that was awesome. So we just closed out really everything well, and it was just a great conclusion to these Among Us episodes. So for me, I love what this episode does is that it's just a great setup for setting up what is coming for the next 2 episodes. It's just such a great setup of setting, bringing in Drex and Rick Twitler back, and then setting of them going to space at the end. Like, it's all great setup to lead up to this big moment. And it's just great. Like it leaves you on the edge of your seat, like, I want to see what's going to happen next. So, that's what this episode did for me. What this episode did, as it's basically the last episode of Season 2, is that it showed you what young superheroes have to go through of trying to hide their secret identities, keep their identities secret, where you basically have the police going to get this basketball, and they're going to scan the handprints of everyone in 12U to know who it is. And now that they know, they're going to find out their secret identities, and it's very tricky as they're trying to capture all these people so they won't say anything, and leads to this moment where they reveal their identities, and it's just painful. So I thought it was a great conclusion to this season. I hope we get Season 3 to figure out what's going to happen next. I don't know if there's a part 2 to this episode. I don't know, but great episode. What this episode did is that, once again, it was just a great setup, as it had all these entertaining stuff, like, why is Mika acting so weird? And you realize Rick Twitler is in her body, and it just sets up all these great humor bits. It sets up a great story, and it sets up for a great thing that comes forward. So I loved this episode, so that's why it's my favorite episode. That's why the first episode of Season 2 is my favorite of all 25 episodes. So that's my ranking of all Season 2 episodes of Danger Force. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the back section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.